This episode contains discussion of homicide, violence, and disturbing details that may be difficult for some listeners.
Spryfield, Nova Scotia, May 29th, 1993. A 17-year-old girl answers a phone call inside her family apartment. 20 minutes later, she walks out the door and never comes home. For 33 years, Shelley Denise Connors' murder has remained unsolved. Rumors spread throughout the community, names circulated quietly behind closed doors, and investigators chase leads that disappeared as quickly as they appeared. Some people believe the answer is still hiding in Spryfield, and that fear has kept this case buried. In our very first episode, we are going to take a deep dive into the murder of Shelley Connors. You're going to hear from Shelley's family and friends. We're going to shine a light on this case that's been sitting unsolved for far too long. This is Dark Harbor. I just want to say a special thanks to Ryan Van Horn, who's a journalist that has helped me with this case. He's been an incredible asset and person to connect me with the people closest to Shelley, as he has written about this and interviewed her family and friends and was able to help me put a lot of this together. So thank you, Ryan. And I also want to say thank you to Angela Connors, who met with me and was able to tell me who Shelley was. And also Shelley's friends, Michelle and Elsie. Thank you.
I have been so excited about this case. I could not wait to get started on it.
I know.
It's been one that I have thought about for years and years and years.
Me too.
And what I love about it even more is that it's in our own backyard.
I know. So for those listening, we are coming to you from Halifax, Nova Scotia. And the case we're presenting to you today is in Spryfield, Nova Scotia, which is just outside of Halifax. We'll get into that.
HRM, same difference.
HRM. But yeah, this case has sat with me for... So I'll backtrack here. I found out about this case only in like 2022 or 2023.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know this one.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Oh, okay, interesting. I did.
Yeah.
I started following anything to do with like serial killers, cold cases. I swear to God, from birth.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
maybe not, but you know what I mean. But yeah, I remember following this case,
right.
Watching it on the news, reading about it in the papers.
Mm-hmm.
And I think also too, because her and I were roughly the same age.
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And she's a couple years older than me, but still same age-ish.
Exactly.
Though. And I remember I was laying in bed one night and I was scrolling Facebook because I couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
And somebody on my Facebook had shared the update. I think it was one of the anniversaries
Mm-hmm.
of this case from the Halifax Regional Police.
Yes.
So I saw that post and I went, wait, who? I don't know this. And I went down a rabbit hole that night. Oh
my gosh, yes.
So I was laying there in bed. It was like 3 a.m. and I was looking up every single possible thing I could, because I didn't know it. I'm like, why have I not heard of this case? Because I lived in this area, in the surrounding Spryfield area, and you have too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like 20 plus years.
I used to live right by where she was found.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we've both lived in this area of Halifax for years and years and years. So it grabbed my attention then.
Yeah.
And then, I think this is kind of what always ate at me a little bit when we talked about doing a podcast.
Yes, yes.
This was in the back of my mind. I'm like, I need to tell Shelley's story.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was, when you came to me with this, I was like, yes, yes, it has to be our first episode. It's kind of stayed with me because, like I said, her and I were right around the same age. And I remember thinking back then, like, oh my God, like that's my age.
Right.
And it's scary to think that.
Yeah, because you
So
grew up in Halifax.
I moved here when I was 12 or 13.
Okay,
So
well, yeah.
So I grew up out west and we moved here when I was 12 or 13. So like I said, Shelley and I were roughly the same age. So, back then this is before social media and all that. So I would watch it on the news and I'm thinking to myself, my God, like she's the same age as me. Like that's so scary.
Yeah.
And then I think her poor family, like what they're going through during all of this. So I am so glad that we're doing this episode.
Me too. It took on, it tugged at me again for years. And, even when I did my deep dive years ago laying in bed, I obviously redid all of that research. And really, there's information out there.
There is.
It was reported on, obviously more so in the early days, a couple follow-ups along the years or as the years went by, but there wasn't a whole lot of follow-up.
No.
And that's what also grabbed me because I thought, okay, this case, and, a lot of people know it. A lot of people think about it and wonder about it, especially the people that live in the area of Spryfield that have grown up knowing this case or were close to this case.
Friends, like everybody. And, at the end of the day, it's now a cold case. And a lot of these cold cases are forgotten about, I feel personally. Like, oh, we don't have any new information. So that's just tucked away in a folder somewhere in the police station. And, I've always hated that.
I know it's a weird, it's kind of a mixed bag because I think there's things that are happening. At least I want to think things are happening with these cases, but I know there's also a lot that the police have to keep close to their vest, right?
Absolutely.
So there's a lot that they're not maybe necessarily going out on social media every year and saying, oh, we found this out or we found that out. Like there's a lot that they would have to keep to themselves. But then the other side you wonder is like, is this collecting dust?
Yes.
Or, all of this reporting in the early days happened and they noted a couple things that will flag you like, oh my gosh, well, what was that about? And then there's no follow-up. So with this episode, we've found that follow-up. We found answers to the questions that a lot of you might have, a lot of the questions I had about this case when I dug and read.
Oh, yeah.
And I just had so many questions. And
it was just the anniversary, 33 years ago.
It was 33 years ago. May 29th, 1993 is when she went missing. So, let's just dive into the episode.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
And we'll tell you about Shelley Connors. So on Saturday, May 29th, 1993, 17-year-old Shelley Denise Connors was at her home in an apartment on 46 River Road in Spryfield, which we talked about is a community just outside of Halifax. So Spryfield's sort of like a what they call a bedroom community. It's about a 15-minute drive to Halifax's downtown core. So that day at approximately 2:30 in the afternoon, a call came in to the Connors house phone. Shelley's brother Corey answered the call, and on the other end was a man asking for his sister. When Shelley's brother asked who was calling, the man said, Chad. Corey believes that this was an alias, though, because the person calling, they didn't really know a Chad, and it didn't sound like it was a normal name that would have called for Shelley, so it was just kind of like, okay. And anyway, Shelley took the call. It lasted just a couple of minutes, and then about 20 minutes later, Shelley told her brother, I'll be right back. She left the apartment. So it was really clear that she only intended to leave for a really short period of time, though, because she left behind her cigarettes. She was a smoker. And she had poured a fresh glass of pop. So she had poured a glass of pop. Her cigarettes were there. She said, I'll be right back, which means, hey, I'm only going to be a few minutes. I don't know, maybe half an hour at the most.
Yeah.
Whatever she was doing, whatever reason she was leaving, it was only meant to be very brief. And after leaving the apartment, her brother Corey assumed that she headed in the direction of JL Illsley High School, which is about a 6-minute walk from her home. And, when we're looking at, we're going to bring up, some maps and some photos for you guys following this, just to understand this area, because her apartment building, her neighborhood there, just sat right behind the local high school
Yeah.
and the rink. So they all kind of fit right together in this little
It's
block.
like a little circle.
Yeah.
Right there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's right there. So he assumed she walked in that direction. And I think that was because that's where a lot of the kids hung out.
Yeah.
So there was like a path you could walk down, and the kids hung out behind the rink in the school. There's a couple areas there. So that was the assumption.
I think they were drinking and smoking back there.
Probably.
Yeah. That's what you did back then.
That's what you did. But Shelley never returned. So she left that day and never did come home. Her family reported her missing that same day on May 29th, but they were told to wait 24 hours in order to file an official missing persons report.
I hate how they have to wait 24 hours.
I know. Don't get me started on that.
I get it. But in the same sense, I'm also thinking like you could have found her in that time frame, but they're also thinking, oh, she's probably just going to come home.
Right. And that's what the family was told was like, well, she's not a child. She's a youth. I think we do things differently now. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
But yeah, you hear a lot of that, like people waiting anywhere between 24 hours or multiple days to be able to file that official report. And to me, that's just, it's terrifying. And for families in this situation, and Shelley's in particular as well, because she wasn't the teen that lost track of time and didn't come home. She wasn't the teen that left and didn't come home for a day or two. Like she did not do that. Shelley always came home. She always called. She always told her family where she was. So this was highly, highly unusual. So on the day that she went missing, so May 29th, her mom, Martha, she was out. So she wasn't actually at the home when Shelley had left that day. She was out, but she recounts feeling a chill, which just gives me a chill thinking about it. Because
me too. I've got like the goosebumps thinking about that.
So her mom was out somewhere, all of a sudden felt this cold chill go down her spine. And that's what she had told Ryan Van Horn, a journalist, that's helped a lot with this case. That's what she had told him in when he interviewed her for this case, because she said she felt a sudden urge to just get home. Which again, mother's instincts, there was something, she knew something was wrong immediately. And, her daughter, Angela, that we have talked to for this, and you'll hear from Angela in this episode as well. She has said that, Martha knew right away something was wrong.
And also you have to remember, this was back, in 93.
Yeah, 93.
And there was no social media. There was no cell phones. I mean, if it was those brick ones that we talked about, or a car phone or something. So there was no texting. There was no her picking up and calling the cell phone like you can with people nowadays. So it was a totally different generation back then.
It was.
Yeah.
It was
scary. Like, I mean, a lot of these young people now in their 20s and 30s are like, what?
I know.
No cell phones?
Yeah, exactly. And that's what you have to think about too, like thinking back to this case, like it was 1993. And like, you and I were teenagers during that time. So we know, and you were just out and about and your parents really didn't know where you were. Like you came home when the street lights came on.
Exactly.
You came home for supper, but you were out.
Right back out again.
Hanging out with whoever. You just congregated, you had your groups. That's the way it was. So, but again, even if Shelley had gone out for a little while, not normal for her not to come home that night. And also the way she left her cigarettes, because she loved her smokes. So she's
not going to leave those.
If you're a smoker, you're not leaving your cigarettes.
No, not at all.
No, if you plan to be gone for any length of time, you're not leaving those.
And I'm not pouring a freshly poured pop and then leaving for hours.
Exactly.
No, you're going to want that. Exactly.
Yeah. So that's an important piece of this case, which we'll, kind of scale back to a few times during our chat here. But so she was officially reported missing on May 30th. And this part was really interesting. So this is one of the things that was in the early reporting that caught my eye and was like, oh my gosh, what? So that same day that she was reported missing, Shelley's family reported receiving threatening calls.
I didn't know this part.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So she was still missing at that point. Nobody knew what had happened to her. Nobody had heard about her. They're, kind of running around, calling everybody, trying to figure this all out. And they get these calls. And they were threatening to Shelley. So at the time, Constable Paul McDonald said that these calls were either something to do with, threatening to do something to her, or that something had been done to her in kind of like a bragging way, which is terrifying. So,
yeah.
And, to note, these calls came in over a pager. So again, let's go back to 93.
To yeah. They're like, what's a pager?
What's a pager? So before cell phones, people had pagers. So if you don't know what a pager is, they came kind of before cell phones. So pagers were like a one-way, receive-only wireless device. And the way it worked is if you had a pager, you had a unique phone number for that pager.
Right.
So if you had a pager, I would call your pager number, and then it would ask me to type in the number that I wanted you to call.
Right.
And then on your little pager, you would see this number and say, oh, somebody wants me to call them. Then you'd go to your house phone or a pay phone.
Yes, there's pay phones, young people.
Yes, also.
Yeah. But it wouldn't be done on a cell phone.
No, that's right. You'd have to find a pay phone. A phone that had a wire on it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So these came into his pager, which again was like, when I was researching this, I'm like, well, somebody knew his number because it's not just a phone book, right? Like and also dating us again, but let's go back. So right. But phone books. So phone books were huge.
Yeah.
And that's how you found everybody's phone number. And there was even a time where people had their address listed in...
No privacy, people. No privacy.
In the phone book. So yeah, all of that to say is that whoever called and prompted Corey to call back and then made these threats knew his number.
Which is weird because these numbers wouldn't be posted.
No.
In the phone book.
Exactly.
Yeah, you'd have to physically give it to someone.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's not something you could just easily find. Like you'd have to know the person or know somebody that knew the person. There had to be a direct link to get that number. But all of that to say, so again, I went down a rabbit hole with this because I'm like, they were getting threats that day. Like,
that's crazy.
Hold on. But after speaking with Shelley's family and her friends, they did find out who made these calls. And it was an acquaintance of Corey. So kind of somebody in like the fringe, again, how we all congregated kind of in the area, one of the neighborhood kids.
They knew each other.
I think they were friends. I don't know if they were best friends, but I mean, I would hope not after this. It was somebody that Corey knew. And what he said was he did this as a joke. They knew Shelley was missing. People were still looking for her. Horrible timing, cruel, wrong on multiple levels. But let's just play devil's advocate here. Yeah. It's a teenage boy. He's maybe thinking, oh my gosh, she's going to turn up tonight.
Yeah. Oh, let's just ha. But at the same sense, don't do that when this family.
I know.
I mean, especially where they knew this isn't something Shelley would just do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what that ended up turning into. Again, the news articles and things I could find just kind of left that there with the threatening phone calls. And there was nothing I could find, at least publicly to say like what happened with that.
Yeah.
But that's what it was. And this guy, this jokester, we're going to talk about him later.
Yes, please.
He's going to come back up.
Good.
But he ultimately, they found out it was him. They arrested him. They interrogated him, questioned him.
Good.
And he is somebody that we're going to talk about after.
Good.
So June 1st, it was approximately 7 p.m. and the officers were out looking for Shelley at this point. They had a tracking dog and they were searching the wooded area that's just behind the Spryfield Lions rink and JL Illsley High School.
Which are pretty much backyards to each other.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, the place where they would hang out.
Yeah.
And that is actually where they found her body. So her body was found in a moss-covered hollow that was partially covered with leaves and branches. The area where she was found, again, yes, that wooded area, and it was only about 200 meters from the back of the rink parking lot. So again, that kind of in-between woods area. It was getting dark, though, as it was 7 p.m. It was getting dark, and it had been raining. And I mean, torrential rains, downpour for the last several days. And so their search efforts that night were difficult, but it was around midnight when her body was removed from the scene. And then further searching of the area for any additional evidence resumed the next day. But again, the heavy, heavy rain was really, really, it just really affected this case.
Oh, yeah. It would have washed away any like shoe prints, any like DNA, anything. Like just totally ruined the whole scene.
It did.
Yeah.
It did, because they do suspect that she was out there the whole time.
Yeah.
So it is thought that, when she left that day on the 29th, that she's been there since.
Yeah. And so close to home.
So close to home. Almost in the backyard.
Yeah.
But a newspaper article dated June 4th, 1993, revealed that Shelley's cause of death was strangulation. Roland Perry, the chief medical examiner, confirmed the cause of death and ruled out a sexual assault based on his autopsy findings. With any death, there's going to be a cause and a manner. So the cause is always, what defines like the physical or biological manner of the death. Whereas the how is, the context of it and also like the legal classification.
Yeah.
So it has to be either natural, homicide, suicide, accidental, or undetermined. In Shelley's, it was homicide. The newspaper article also states that Constable Paul McDonald said that there was no weapon found at the scene. So nothing like, an obvious like cord or a wire or a rope. There was no type of evidence there that they would have looked and said, oh, that looks like a murder weapon.
A murder weapon.
Right.
Yeah.
So nothing like that was left at the scene. Also missing from the scene, missing from Shelley, was the brown leather jacket and the low-cut black cowboy boots that she left her home in.
Do you remember those booties?
Oh, yes, I had them too.
And you wore them with like your bubble jeans.
Yeah.
Remember those tight bubble jeans that were in
Yes.
style?
Yeah.
Yes, once again, we're old.
Yeah. Yeah, I had these boots. So when I read this, and again, we're going to put some photos.
Oh, yeah, we'll put some pictures up.
And yeah, so she had those boots. Those boots were so awesome. Like they were so
I
popular.
would strut around like, look at me, look at my boots.
Oh yeah, they were the thing to have. If you had those boots,
You were
like,
in.
You
were in.
You were in style.
Yeah.
So she was missing. Yeah. So when they found her, they never found those black low-cut cowgirl boots, never found the brown leather jacket, or her house keys.
That's crazy.
I know.
That's crazy.
I know.
Like,
So
I always wonder, like, when people can't find like items from the victim or whatever, like, where are they? Like, I mean, some people will just throw them away or whatever, but yeah. And even to this day, they haven't found them, have they?
no, they've never been recovered. I don't think, at least to our knowledge and the family's knowledge to this day, after speaking with them, I don't believe they've ever been recovered. So were they disposed of in some way?
Yeah.
Were they taken as a sick sort of keepsake? Which always just, again, gives me
People
chills.
are sick. Yeah.
But that happens, right?
It happens
you
a lot.
hear those
You hear
stories
it.
where people will take something from their victim, something to remember it by, and be able to relive what they did
People
to that
are
person.
sick.
Yeah. So not sure what that is, but at the end of the day, they've never shown up, which is, always bothered me that those things never turned up, even at a thrift shop or
something. And, maybe the family wanted to have those because, I mean, maybe those are the boots that she wore all the time, the jacket, maybe the family would like to have that as a keepsake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So police had canvassed the area, the neighborhood, and they'd spoken with as many people as they could in the early days. And some of the people that they spoke to, of course, were Shelley's family, of course, and her close friends and the kids in the area, the people known in the friend group, people hanging out at the time. And Shelley's best friend at that time, her name is Michelle. So I want to talk a bit about Michelle. So Michelle and her older sister, Elsie, were kind enough to sit down, chat with me for a couple hours, be interviewed. So you're going to hear them throughout this podcast. We're going to put some of their clips in there so you can hear them talking about Shelley.
I'm sorry I missed that day. I would have loved to have met them.
I know. Well, Carrie works normal hours.
And you don't work
and I work
normal
shift
hours.
work.
Yeah.
So sometimes our schedules line up and sometimes they don't. Yeah. But I was able to sit down with them on a weekday and speak with them. And it was just so interesting speaking with Michelle because I think back to my friendships at that age. And Michelle and Shelley were tight.
Yeah.
So, and in the letter. So I want to talk about the letter. So there was a letter that the police retrieved, I believe, from Shelley's apartment when they were doing their initial investigation, looking for evidence, everything in the early days. They found a letter. They couldn't read the letter, though,
Oh.
because it was completely in code.
See, I love that. People used to do that back in the day so that, your parents wouldn't know who your crush was, or if you're going to a party and only your little friend group knew it. And I never did that. I wasn't that cool, but
Yeah, but that's how they talked, because you wouldn't want your brother or your sister or whoever, or your parents, definitely not your parents, reading these letters to your best friend, because that's the person you tell everything to.
Exactly.
So the letters that they wrote to each other were in code. So they found this letter and they had to get Michelle to decode it. Wow. So that's how close they were. They wrote letters in their own code that only they knew. No other friends, no family. Mm-hmm. So that's how close they were. And they hung out all the time in the early days. At the time that Shelley disappeared, Michelle had been at a relative's babysitting. So she wasn't hanging with Shelley those couple of days.
Right.
And interesting, we talked about the boots, though.
Oh, yeah.
So Michelle, one of her last conversations that she remembers having with Shelley was saying, like, yes, go do this babysitting job, because, when you get paid, right? You get paid, you can get matching cowgirl boots.
Love it.
I know. So that's one of the last conversations Michelle remembers having with her, was that Michelle was doing this babysitting job. Mm-hmm. She was going to make $50 and they were going to go out together and buy boots.
And back then that was like the thing. Like you would want to have like the matching boots, like the matching shirts, like I can picture it.
The teenage years.
Yes, all those days.
Yeah, so they did, they spoke with everybody they could in the early days, and we're going to discuss people. I'm going to say the word suspects, because some of them were suspects, mm-hmm. and some of them are just people that I think are worth mentioning. Yes. So, disclaimer here, none of the people that we're going to talk about have been charged in Shelley's case. And again, the term suspect doesn't apply to the people we're going to talk about. Not everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Some were listed publicly as suspects in the beginning. Mm-hmm. And some of them are just people that were in Shelley's life that, again, I think are just worth talking about.
Absolutely.
Having a conversation on. So we're going to get into these people of interest, we'll say.
Okay.
And for confidentiality, and for the fact that none of these people have ever been charged, all of these names have been changed.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's go back to the jokester we talked about. Yeah. The guy that called earlier and made the threats, thought it was funny. All right. I know. Don't even get me started. Thought it was funny to say those awful things. We're going to call him Kevin.
Okay.
So Kevin, he became a person of interest because he was reportedly obsessed with Shelley. Mm. And obsessed is the word that the articles used, the public articles, newspaper articles, is that the term somebody obsessed with Shelley was exactly what was reported. Never a name, of course.
No.
And as we talked about before, the police did find out about the phone call. So he was arrested, interrogated, never charged. But Kevin also lived very close to Shelley, like across.
They were like neighbors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was a couple buildings close together, and he was just in the building right across. So literally a stone's throw.
Yep.
So he lived in the area, and people close to Shelley and those that were there at the time have kind of reflected back on him, saying he kind of gave weird vibes.
Mm-hmm.
Creepy vibes. Like he just had that way of making you feel unsettled. And as a woman and as a young girl, when you come across those people, your little,
your radar goes off.
The radar goes off and you're like, oh, this guy, there's something off here.
Yeah.
He was that guy.
Yeah.
So he had that kind of a reputation. He was always kind of weird. And even talking with some of Shelley's friends and stuff, like when we would discuss Kevin, they would say, oh gosh,
yeah,
like he just had that kind of notion. And anyway, so he, and like I said, he was an acquaintance of Corey, Shelley's brother.
Yeah.
And obviously after all of that took place, so the threatening phone calls, Shelley going missing, finding out she was murdered. Mm-hmm. There was tension there.
Oh, I bet.
So Shelley's brother Corey had said that Kevin had actually come after him and his friends on numerous occasions after the murder. So I don't know what the back and forth was. I'm sure
No.
things were being thrown around in the early
Oh,
days.
yeah.
And you're seeing this guy being hauled in by police.
Yeah.
So, Corey being a big brother.
Yeah.
To Shelley was probably like, okay, who's this guy? And maybe he was kind of mouthing off too, but either way, there was a lot of tension there, especially
And also
in the
too,
early days.
he was the guy that was doing the joke.
The joke.
The jokes.
So he did, yeah.
And he thought that was appropriate and okay to do that.
Right, which is just fucked.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't even wrap my head around that. Like, that's just.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, so that's really kind of all we really know about Kevin. There wasn't any like direct connection to Shelley. Like, they all knew each other. They hung out in some of the same groups, but and he was definitely somebody that they needed to look at with the phone calls, the way he was described as being obsessed. When I tried to dig into that kind of definition, like what do you mean obsessed? Like,
right.
And Shelley's friends had just said he just had a thing for her. Like, he was really into her.
Yeah.
It wasn't reciprocal.
Yeah.
But anyway, so today he has never been named as a suspect. And like I said, was never charged. The next person I want to talk about is Chris. So Chris was Shelley's boyfriend. Again, we're using an alias.
Alias name, yeah.
So they had dated for at least several months that year in 1993. So at the time of Shelley's murder, they were actually broken up. Shelley and Chris lived very near each other.
Mm-hmm.
And just some history on Chris. So he was here from Lebanon as an exchange student.
Oh, okay.
So he was here, they met, they were dating. And according to people close to Shelley, Chris thought their relationship was much more serious and exclusive, although there were points that, it seemed like Shelley felt the seriousness too, because, they did they made plans for the future. Like, he did have to go back to Lebanon.
Yes.
But they were making plans and talking about what they would do when he came back.
Right.
Yeah. So there was that level of seriousness. And there were even a few rumors that they were quote unquote engaged. He gave her a ring or something.
Oh, wow.
So there's a little bit of that floating around. But again, like teenage love.
Yeah. They don't last. I mean, some of them do. I mean, kudos to anybody who has somebody that they've been together with since high school.
Yeah.
I couldn't even imagine.
Right,
That's
exactly.
too long.
Yeah. We need experiences, people. Yeah. So they were, they were kind of on and off. But the thing with Chris was that he was a little possessive. Mm-hmm. So he had a couple of red flags about him. Again, they were together, and then they seemed to be kind of breaking up. And Shelley was confiding in her friends, like Michelle,
yes,
that she was planning to end things with him and was slowly trying to kind of move away from him, because he was possessive. So he'd be the guy that would, she would show up at her friend's place, hang out, and he would show up and pick her up.
Oh.
Where are you going? Who are you talking to?
Yeah.
That kind of a guy.
Yeah.
She didn't like that.
No.
Obviously.
God,
who
no.
would? And she knew she needed to end things with him.
Yep.
And that's exactly what she did. So they were broken up at the time that she was murdered.
Okay.
And I would love to get more of a clear timeline on this, but it's been said that he left Halifax. So he did return to Lebanon a few weeks or about a month before she was murdered.
Okay. So he wasn't actually here when she was murdered.
No. And that's what I have been told, again, by people, family, friends.
Yeah.
I can't really confirm this any other way. Again, I would love to, just because, of course, I have questions here.
Oh, God, so many.
But yeah, according to most people, he was gone, but then they had also been distancing.
Yeah.
So but everybody's fairly confident that he left. So, we'll go with that, but the thing is, what I wonder is if he was indeed gone and then she was murdered, did he ever find out?
Well, because once again, we'll say this, there was no social media.
Right.
There was no texting or Snapchatting or whatever you do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it would have, and I mean, if you're in Lebanon, are you going to be seeing news from Halifax?
Definitely not.
No. So unless somebody wrote him a letter and told him, but nobody would probably think of that because they're so into like, okay, Shelley was just murdered. We need to find her murderer. He's not even thought about because they assume he's back in Lebanon. Nobody's seen him, right? So
exactly. And he was brought up to the police because of his, his behaviors.
Absolutely.
Because he definitely had those red flag behaviors. Again, she was distancing himself. But yeah, I would love to know exactly when he left. But the reason why he kind of comes on the radar is, number one, of course, he's an ex-boyfriend.
Yes, right. Absolutely.
He's an ex, your ex, your spouse, your partner, the people close to you are always going to be questioned first.
Oh, gosh.
Because, is there bad blood there? Is there, did you leave on bad terms? It can be a number of things.
Yeah.
But two is, again, his behavior. So he actually said to Shelley in front of her friend that he would kill her. Here is Michelle.
I remember us sitting in a van and the van facing that way. Me making the mistake of saying, oh, they're and I took that van and did a 360 and she's in the front, he's in the driver's seat, she's in the front seat. And I'm just like, sorry. And he said, if you ever cheat on me, he said, I will kill you. That was enough for me. I was like, get me out of here. Like, and I remember that like it was yesterday because the size of him and he meant what he said, like the look in his face. Like,
it's so many people joke about that kind of stuff. Like when they're in a relationship, like if she starts dating another guy, I'm going to kill her. Like, but I mean, some of these people you don't know if are they just saying that or is it really going to happen? But I mean, you and I have looked at so many serial killer cold cases, everything. And a lot of times, it's, yeah. It usually happens.
I know. And I think those statements they're not a red flag until they are.
Exactly.
Right? And then because Michelle, and we're going to put some clips from Michelle here where she actually talks about some of these experiences where her and Shelley were in Chris's van. And he said this in front of Michelle. She remembers that. She was kind of like, get me out of here.
Oh God. Yeah.
But we're going to put a clip in here of her so she can tell you what that was. But he was jealous. He was possessive.
Yeah. Sounds like it.
And next we're going to talk about William. So again, another alias here. William was not named a suspect, but somebody that we need to talk about because he was reportedly the person that Shelley's mom, Martha, has suspected the most, or suspected for a long time at least. So according to Martha, there's been a persistent rumor that William has confessed to killing Shelley to his friends because he was remorseful and he was having problems with it. Now, this was from Ryan's article. So again, we're shout out to Ryan, who has written some articles, has followed this and spoken with a lot of people with this case. And that's what was told to him from Martha.
Right.
At that time that he was able to interview Martha, she said that she had always suspected him because of that. And there was always some rumors and a bit of a cloud surrounding him.
Yeah. And it's a mother's intuition.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when Martha kind of was like, and had that cold chill. I mean, sometimes I think moms know.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. So that's why I wanted to talk about him because to me, if the mom thinks that this could be the person, then we need to look at that because moms know. Moms have a way of knowing. But the big thing I think for her was not just the rumors. It was the rumors around Spryfield about him. And then I think, what really just did it for her was that she would see him out and about the community, right? You're going to Sobeys, you're going wherever. Yeah. She would see him and they were known to each other. So his family and her family knew each other.
Yeah.
Him and Shelley weren't so much directly linked, but again, known to each other.
Acquaintances,
kind of like family, they were known to each other. So there wasn't like a close relationship with Shelley and him per se, but again, known, small area, people. But she would run into him out in public and he would not make eye contact with her. He would not talk to her. So his behavior after her murder really bothered her.
Oh, yeah.
Because again, there was these confessions, and those came later on.
Yeah.
But in the early days, you know, the first few years, seeing him in public when they'd normally be like, hey, how are you?
Yeah.
There was none of that.
And then all of a sudden, avoidance at all costs.
Like,
Yeah.
look at the floor, walk away from this woman as quick as
Yeah.
possible. And that never sat right to her.
The guilty person look.
Mhm.
Yep.
And he also worked on Quinpool Road. So Quinpool Road is kind of one of the main arteries
Like
in,
the main
in
road.
Halifax.
Yeah. Like when you come out of Spryfield and you have to take that god-awful rotary.
The rotary.
The rotary. When you go through the rotary, you head towards Quimple to get to downtown.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of on the,
Yeah.
it's one of the routes to downtown.
Yeah.
Yeah. So not super far from Spryfield, but
No.
so he worked on that road,
Okay.
doing what and where, I don't really know. And when we talk a little bit more about Shelley later, we'll talk about this, but she was actually going to this work orientation workshop.
Okay.
And that was done through St. Pat's. So the
Oh,
old
yes.
St. Pat's High School,
Which is now torn down.
which is now torn down, was actually on Quinpool Road.
Mm-hmm.
So she was there. So again, you know, is that relevant? Is it not relevant? But he
Yeah.
worked there. She was going to school there doing this program. So again, something worth mentioning, but that's kind of his story. So again, listed as the person that Martha felt strongest about for a long time. And
Shelley was working at the Tim Hortons too, wasn't she?
she was
On
in
Quimple.
well, I thought it was Quinpool. So I've been told Quinpool and Heron Cove.
Okay. Okay.
So Shelley, through the work orientation program, was doing kind of like a work term where, you know, they would go and work a job.
Okay.
They would get a job, they would get paid, and it was, you know, it was a good program for kids at the time, get them in the workforce.
I remember that
Yeah.
program. Yeah.
So she was in that, and she did work at Tim Hortons. I've heard it's Quinpool Road from some people, and then some people said it was Heron Cove.
Mm.
So either way, I guess the link would still be St. Pat's.
Yeah.
But if she was working at Tim Hortons down there as well, that could be it too. Just something to note. Again, like the proximity, whether that's relevant, I don't know. But worth talking about nonetheless.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. But other than that, though, other than this quote unquote confession that's been mumbling around,
Yeah.
there's no other information linking him to this case.
Was he ever brought in?
I don't know.
Yeah. I wonder if he was ever brought in and talked to by the police.
I would assume, especially if, you know, looking at Martha or looking at Shelley's mom, if there's rumors about somebody, if somebody is supposedly confessing and feeling all of this remorse and guilt,
Yeah.
I would assume she'd be on the phone saying,
Like,
hey,
you need to talk to this asshole.
yeah, you need to talk to this guy because he's saying these things. Because when you live in the community, you're going to hear things. People
Oh
are going
my
to talk
gosh,
to you,
yes. Yeah.
whether you probably want them to or not. You're gonna hear that information. So I don't know if he was officially spoken to. Again, there's things with the police investigation that I'm not sure of. I think there's a lot of things that, you know, they do keep to themselves. I have reached out to Halifax police, and I've reached out to the cold case unit, and I haven't heard back yet.
Shocker.
So
Did I say that out loud?
I was hopeful, but I'm going to hold out a little hope.
Yeah, you never know.
I mean, maybe
we can always have a follow-up episode
We
as well if
could.
we get anything new.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I would love to do that. So if anybody has any information that we're missing or wants to add to it, let us know. We'd love to hear from you because I think this will definitely be a follow-up case as well.
I think it will be too. And if I do end up, and I know that kind of turnaround time can be long to hear back from cold case detectives and stuff. So, and again, you know, they don't know me.
Exactly.
So we'll see if anything does come up and I'm able to get any additional information or even just a statement from them or an update or anything. I'll definitely include that in a follow-up episode or we'll post to social media, but we'll definitely let you know. Now we're going to talk about one of the first police suspects. So we're going to call him Joe. Again, this is an alias name. He has never been named officially in any of the articles or statements out there in the public knowledge. So his
Right.
name was never used. We're not going to use his name here.
No.
But he was identified as a suspect in her murder very quickly. He was an older guy, I believe. So Shelley was 17. He was said to be about 7 or 10 years older,
Yeah.
like mid to late 20s-ish.
Okay.
Yeah. So he lived on the same block as Shelley again. Those apartment buildings, they're all kind
like
of
a little community.
just a little, yeah. So he lived in that same block.
Okay.
And, you know, Shelley went missing, was murdered in May 1993. In August of 1993, he was arrested and interrogated as a person of interest or suspect, and in what seemed like the strongest lead that the police had at that time.
Mm-hmm.
He was later released, never charged with anything in connection to Shelley's murder, but he was reported to have hung out with Shelley and her friends near the Spryfield Lions rink near and around that wooded area.
Yeah.
A friend of Corey's told him that this man had been introduced to Shelley by one of her friends at the time, and the three of them were hanging out kind of by the rink, by the school area.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of questions about this guy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because he's an older guy hanging out with a younger girl.
Like, why?
Yeah. Well, we're going to find out because there was no other public information out there that I could find. So this was one that, in talking with friends and family, we were able to find a lot more about this. So I wasn't able to find anything, public knowledge. But when I was able to talk to the people closest to Shelley, I found out a lot more. And it is shocking, to say the least.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Bring it on.
So, buckle up for this one.
Okay.
So Joe wasn't just hanging with Shelley. They were having sex.
Oh.
So they were having kind of a hookup sexual relationship.
Okay.
They would meet up in and around the rink high school area to hook up.
Yeah.
And this went on for a few months. And you remember when we talked about Shelley's, ex-boyfriend, Chris?
Yes.
So there is a chance that this kind of overlapped into Chris.
Oh, okay.
And we'll kind of get into that. Again, when I interviewed Michelle, she spoke to this because Chris was mad at Shelley for talking to Joe.
Of course.
The older guy.
He was jealous. He was possessive of her.
He was possessive, and maybe he thought it was weird that he was
so much older.
Yeah, older and kind of was around Shelley at that time. So this is the person that he would get upset about, and this is Joe. So again, disturbing to think about him hanging out with a 17-year-old, and not just her, but a few other young girls.
Friends. Yeah.
Had relationships with him. Okay.
And just you remember, like, when you were like that age, you're like 16, 17, you have like somebody who's 20, 21, you're like, oh, that's so cool.
Right.
Like you get excited about that stuff.
Oh, totally. And I think that is normal. Like on her end, I get it.
Yes.
She's 17. And again, I can't help but like think, what was the dynamic of this relationship? Was he kind of like love bombing her? Was he the cool older guy? Because listen, like I fell for some cool older guys. Like,
God, yes.
When you're younger, because you're like, oh, the boys my age are so mature.
Suck. Yeah. They
so
suck.
That was a thing. But, again, from his perspective, I look at because, I'm in my 40s now.
Yeah. I
have a child, and I think about, why is this person talking to a 17-year-old?
Exactly.
Right. So
like, we look at it now as like, ooh.
Yeah. But at that time, it wouldn't have been like.
And they all lived around each other. So they were all like, it's a small community.
Yeah.
They like all, like they would see each other daily. They would, like they all knew each other. So it probably wouldn't be anything weird. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And they were all in that neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
So if they were chatting in around there, whatever, like people knew people, but only a couple people knew that they had this.
They kept it hush hush.
They had this,
because of the
relationship
age difference and
yes.
Yeah.
Well, and there's other reasons it was hush hush. So again, like I said, buckle up. So supposedly, and this is from information from the people that I've talked to in the community, family, friends, different people that were around at that time, was that, yes, so they were having a sexual relationship. Joe had a girlfriend.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, this adds, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
He had a girlfriend. She lived with him,
Oh.
and she was pregnant.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Now, yeah.
Yikes.
Right. So, older guy, late 20s, what have you, hanging out, having this relationship with a teenager with a pregnant live-in girlfriend.
Did the girlfriend know about this?
So, there were suspicions.
Yeah.
I think she knew some things. There were some threats from her to Shelley and some of these teenage girls.
Okay.
And most importantly, though, there were threats from Joe to Shelley to say, do not tell my girlfriend about this or I'll kill you.
Wow. Wow.
And this threat came in. So when I spoke with Michelle and Elsie, so we're going to talk about Elsie a little bit here. So Michelle was Shelley's best friend. Elsie is Michelle's older sister.
Right.
But again, they all kind of hung together.
Yeah.
Elsie used to hang out with Joe as well.
Oh, okay.
They didn't have like a relationship. I think they just used to smoke pot.
Acquaintances, hang out.
He would have pot, right?
Oh,
And you're a
of
teen
course.
and you're like, sure, like let's
Hell
go smoke
yeah.
weed. So that was kind of her dynamic with him, but she
Okay.
would kind of go off with him, sneak out, go places with him.
Yeah.
Didn't have that kind of relationship that Shelley had, but again, had a little kind of thing. Like, he
Yeah,
seemed
there
to
was
be,
something
there
going
was
on.
something there. But so Shelley was with Elsie one day, and they were talking with Joe, and he said to the both of them, looked right at them and said, if either of you guys talk, I'll kill you.
My God.
Yeah. So this threat, and she remembers as well, because he was,
Well, it's just something you would remember. It's scary.
it's terrifying.
Yeah.
So you're kind of hanging around, whether you're just smoking weed with the guy or whether you're having a bit of an affair with the guy, which, regardless, that was said to them.
Oh, gosh.
So that was kind of scary. Well, absolutely scary.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you're in that situation and
You're young at the time.
I
and,
know.
Is this a real threat? Or, like, he's older? Like, yeah.
And there was like that culture of Spryfield and not just Spryfield. I love Spryfield. So lots of different areas that you kind of have your tough guys.
Oh, gosh,
right?
yes.
You want to make a name for yourself. You want to be the tough guy. So I think that plays into a couple different scenarios
I think
here.
so, too.
You're the tough one. There's lots of bragging back in the day about
like,
how
look
tough.
At me.
Yeah.
You should be scared of me. And, just put the fear of God in people.
There's a lot of that. And like, I can beat you up. I've beat up so-and-so. So, there was that legitimate, I think fear as well. So, but yeah, so that's what was going on with Joe when Shelley disappeared and was found murdered. And again, like I said, when I first started researching this, I couldn't really find out any other details other than he was listed in a follow-up article after them saying they called him a quote-unquote older neighbor. Yeah. He was arrested, interrogated, let go, and they cited it was because of insufficient evidence. Here is Michelle. The phone call came in, as we know, said it was Chad, which everybody thinks. Do you think that was an alias?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, 1,000%. Yeah.
And who do you think would have called her?
That's my true opinion. I still believe in my heart that it could have been.
Yeah. Did he call her like at home? Like, I know they were in kind of like a relationship type thing.
So he would call her, but he definitely used a different name. And I believe Chad was the name he had given every time he would call to meet up with her.
So when Ryan Van Horn, when he interviewed Corey back a few years ago, Corey recounts that Joe was the only guy that refused a polygraph.
What?
And he lawyered up.
Okay, first of all, if you're innocent, why would you refuse a polygraph? I'd be like, nope, give it to me right now. I'll tell you everything.
You'd want to be ruled out. Now, there is always controversy with polygraphs because they don't hold up necessarily in court.
I agree.
And they can, there's different, ways of thinking. But again, it's an initial investigation tool.
Yeah.
Which, at the end of the day, regardless of what the results are, you might be more, I guess the bigger wow factor might be who's refusing it.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Versus
red flags,
Yeah, exactly.
big time. Yeah.
Regardless of what it was, showed deception or not.
Yeah.
Who's shying away from it? Who's not showing up to do it?
Exactly.
Who's refusing it?
Exactly.
So apparently it's been said that he refused it.
Mm.
Now, Shelley's mom, Martha, has confronted this man.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Look
yeah.
at Martha.
I know. Again, she's mom.
She's
right?
mom. She's got her mama bear. She's ready to go.
Yep. And she was
full out.
Yep. She was finding out things, and she quote, and this is her quote from when Ryan interviewed her for his article. She said, "I stupidly went after him." Which again, you can completely understand in this situation.
Gosh.
She finds out about this guy, and I don't know what she knew. I don't think she knew a lot about him initially, but
no.
I'm kind of guessing a little bit here that she maybe found out more about him and his relationship with Shelley as time went on.
Yes.
As the investigation started, as the friends like Michelle had to come out and say to people, yeah, she was having this relationship with him, because they didn't know.
Yeah.
Right? You're not going to tell your parents that. You're not going to tell your family. That's a best friend secret.
That must have been really hard for Michelle to have to, betray her best friend, but she had no other choice. And I mean, you're going to do everything you can to try to find whoever did this to your best friend.
Absolutely.
And I know she probably felt guilty doing it, but at the same sense, I'm glad she did.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she wanted it all out there. And if it meant having to tell what was in that code, which some of it was talking about Joe.
Yeah.
If it meant that she had to kind of out her in that way, she was doing whatever she could.
Oh my gosh.
To say
absolutely.
like, hey, this is more, this is what the letter says.
Yeah.
So Joe, and so Martha had gone after him, as we talked about.
Yeah.
And Joe's girlfriend ended up getting a peace bond against Martha, so she couldn't be such and such a distance from them, because
but they like literally live across the street from each other.
Yeah. So they moved.
Oh.
So Joe and his girlfriend, I don't know when, they moved from that area of Spryfield to like the Cowie Hill area or somewhere, I think.
Okay.
So they did leave that area at one point, but again, there was just a lot of things there. And yeah, there's a lot of people that to this day lean back towards him, because we go back to, who would Shelley have left her apartment for?
Exactly.
Who would she have gotten on the phone with, put her smokes down, left her glass of pop, said, I'll be right back.
Yeah.
According to her friends, that's what she did with Joe. He would maybe phone her up and say, hey, let's meet up for whatever.
Yeah.
They would go do whatever. Half an hour later, she'd come home.
I wonder, now this is just me thinking, I wonder if Joe's girlfriend found out about it and basically said, I found out about this. And I mean, if she's pregnant with, his child, and this is your boyfriend that you live with, whatever. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, so maybe Joe, was the one who called, like, listen, this is just me thinking out loud. Basically Joe calls Shelley like, hey, let's meet. She's like, okay. And she's excited to go see him and thought, oh, it won't be very long. Whatever.
Right. Yeah.
It makes you wonder. And then he denies the polygraph, which is like, it's crazy to me. Yeah.
It is. And he's definitely somebody worth talking about. It's you understand why he was seen and listed as a suspect in the early days, because imagine the police finding out this information too, just like we are here, about what the nature of that relationship was, the threats that were made. It's very just scary.
A whole lot of stuff.
Yeah. And that kind of like, so when looking at, any of these people that we've talked about, or any case, you really need to talk about a couple big things for a suspect, like motive. So thinking about that perspective, jealousy, rejection, breakups, revenge, anger, obsession, witness elimination.
Yes.
So there's a few of those. Motive is obviously really important, because it's, what's making people do something. But, people can have motives and never commit crimes. Yeah, so usually, to have a good suspect for a murder, you have to have motive with other things. So some of the ones that I thought were more relevant for this case, and in any case, really, the other big one I think is opportunity.
Yes, for sure.
So again, when looking at these people of interest that we discussed, thinking about motive for each of these situations, thinking about opportunity. Could they have realistically done this? So looking at things like, did they have access to the victim? And again, like I said, the thing I always go back to with Shelley Connors is who would she have left her apartment to see?
It had to be somebody pretty special.
Somebody that had access.
Yeah.
And another question about opportunities, were they in the area? Yes. Did they know where did they know where Shelley would be? Yes. Could they account for their whereabouts? So looking at opportunity, I feel like opportunity is there.
Yeah.
Especially when we talk about Joe.
Yes, especially Joe.
When looking at that. So, and opportunity usually in terms of cold cases is one of the strongest factors.
Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah.
That's one of the motive. Opportunity is one of the main things that they look at in any kind of case.
Yeah, exactly. And then the means too. So the physical ability. So already, the people that we're talking about in this case, in terms of people worthy talking about, people of interest, some people that were listed as suspects, did they have the physical ability? So looking at that alone, these are men. Yeah. Right? We're talking about men. Shelley was a small framed female.
Yeah.
So there's the physical capability, access to a vehicle, which we don't believe to be relevant in this situation.
I don't think so.
No. So it's thought that that they met and went to that area where her body was found, and that's where she was the day she went missing.
Yeah.
Whoever she met, maybe they met there or ended up there. But yeah, so access to a vehicle, maybe not necessary here. I think that's something police didn't believe was a factor. The family told me that they think the crime happened, the strangulation happened there.
Yeah.
And she was left there. So they think that was kind of ground zero.
Well, it sounds like it's a meeting place. Like that was her meeting place, like where she met, the older guy, and that's where they would meet. Her friends would meet there. And like I said before, this is kind of like the place where, people would go to smoke and maybe drink and stuff because it's out of the way. Nobody can see them from the street. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a hangout spot.
Yeah,
it's behind your high school, right? Like, it's a spot where you'd go. You had some woods.
There's woods,
and people I talked to about this case. Oh yeah, I remember like sharing a bottle of liquor with my friends in those woods back in the day, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then with means, so access to weapons, restraints, knowledge of secluded locations, which we just talked about.
Yeah.
So those are all things to think about with, did you have means to do it? And again, motive, opportunity. And the last one that I thought was important in this case was prior relationship to the victim. So as we know, many homicide victims know their killer.
Yes.
There are random murders. There are situations where people are just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah.
But usually the investigators will examine things like romantic relationships, friendships, family connections, conflicts, obsessive behavior.
Which most of these people have this with her. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. To some degree, whether it's, the family connection, maybe not necessarily friends or in a relationship with Shelley, but they knew the family, they lived in the area. So there's, those connections. And then you look at somebody like Joe, there was that kind of romantic type relationship, conflict, because it sounded like he was worried about being called out to his girlfriend.
Yeah.
For their relationship. So it sounds like that situation was heating up a little bit. I don't know if she suspected it, what she knew.
Exactly.
I don't think anybody's ever talked to her. There's never been anything published about that or anything that I could find. So I don't really know how she has spoken about this case or what she has spoken about to the police. Because I imagine they would have wanted to talk to her at some point. But
because I think at this point, if she didn't know, she would have known.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So those are the big things that are, important in any kind of murder case. And one of the other ones, there's a whole list of things that need to be considered for a case: suspicious behaviors before and after the crime, physical evidence. So physical evidence is one I want to get back to, though.
Yes.
So rather lack of physical evidence, because with this case, the weather
was a huge impact.
Huge factor. Yeah. There have been a few times along the way when I got to sit down with Angela, Shelley's sister, and talk with her. There have been a few things that have come up over the years that we'll talk about where they've kind of revisited some evidence, looked for some new DNA for comparisons, but ultimately nothing has come from that.
Washed it all away, which is so sad.
I know. Yeah, it's so sad because that could have been, big, even if it wasn't something that helped then.
It would
using the technology now
that we have now.
Yeah, because they need such little sample now. They can pull profiles or fingerprints from even partial fingerprints now. So the technology has changed a lot. But again, in terms of evidence, if there is some evidence there that could possibly solve this case, it's something we don't know. Yeah. And again, it might be something that police are keeping close to the vest for good reason.
Yep.
If they believe they know who did it, the hard part in a cold case is proving it decades later, because it requires evidence that can withstand scrutiny beyond a reasonable doubt. Here is Angela.
The thing that sucked the most of all of this is it rained hard for 3 days straight.
Yeah.
So any evidence that there may have been there was none.
Was there? Did anything come up even like now, like where technology has changed?
We have heard from the police over the years here and there. Mm-hmm. There was something about her shoes. The police had found some shoes. They wanted to test them against some DNA that they had, but it turned up that the DNA was too old. So I don't know if whether maybe in the future that they can do something so that that DNA isn't, they can do something with it.
Yeah.
But
so whether that's physical evidence or, again, some kind of confession or some information that comes forward, it would have to really be able to stand up well in court.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now that we've talked about the people closer to Shelley's life that were suspects or people of interest, I want to talk about a few serial killer / criminal theories, because these have been brought up along the years. And, some you guys might know, if not all of them, because they're pretty notorious names, especially here in Canada, as well as Nova Scotia and East Coast.
Yep.
So these three people that I'm going to talk about, they're well known. They're pretty terrifying. But a lot of people have always wondered if Shelley's case was linked to these people, and we'll chat about them a little bit, because there are people out there and theories out there that she really could be linked to one or any of these. But we'll go through them. The first one I want to talk about is Michael McGray. So, and again, to be clear, reports say that he was ruled out, but he was brought in as a suspect.
Yes, I heard that. Yeah.
So he was brought in because, again, he was in the area at the time. And he was pulled in. They knew he was a dangerous guy, very violent criminal history, rap sheet, murder, assault, you name it. Dangerous guy. He was grabbed and hauled in for Shelley's case because he was in the Halifax area. Yeah. But he was ruled out. But I think it's important to talk about him just to understand why he was a person of interest. So he was a serial killer. He was a violent criminal, rap sheet that dated back to about 1982. Yeah. He lived in Nova Scotia and New Brunswick. But notably, when he was paroled, he returned to Halifax in 1993. So he was, he was paroled from New Brunswick, came back here, and they did, on June 1st, the day her body was discovered, he was named a suspect. So they knew he was in the area. They knew his history. But he was ruled out ultimately. I'm not sure how or why. His crimes did include sexual assault and murder. And I don't know if he was ruled out because it didn't really fit his MO, because his murders were stabbing. Yeah,
it was what he did was completely different than the way that Shelley died.
Yeah. And again, maybe it wasn't his MO or he had an alibi, but either way, he was ruled out. Yeah. And that was kind of it for him. But, he's he's got quite the rap sheet.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it might be a future episode where we
I
talk
think
about
so.
him again.
I think so. I think you're going to hear about him again.
We're probably going to hear about him again because he is tied to obviously other cases here.
Yeah.
And yeah, he comes up on the radar, especially during this time in the early 90s with things going on in Halifax. But yeah, that's Michael McGray. So not a great guy, but
No.
he's behind bars now. The next one we're going to talk about is Andrew Paul Johnson. A lot of people might know who he is. Listed as a dangerous offender. So he's originally from Halifax, and public reporting and court records describe him as having a very long history of violent sexual offenses dating back to the 1990s, and his crimes, with crimes and investigations that were connected to Nova Scotia and British Columbia. So it wasn't just here.
No.
But
what a wide spectrum, though.
I
Because
know.
BC is like on the opposite coast from us. So,
Right.
yeah.
But yeah, there was a report in Global News that he was convicted in British Columbia for multiple offenses, including kidnapping, forcible confinement, sexual assault, aggravated assault, and incidents involving children. He was also caught posing as a police officer
My God.
in an attempt to lure young girls. So yeah, anyway,
Another sicko.
total sicko.
Yeah.
But he was designated as what they call a dangerous offender. And the designation was there, then it was actually reinstated, and resulting in an indeterminate prison sentence, meaning he can be held indefinitely because authorities consider him to be a continuing danger to the public.
Yes.
So that's him. But most importantly, people might recognize his name because he has been very closely tied to the Kimberly McAndrew disappearance.
Yes, I heard that.
Yeah. So he's one of the big names that comes up with Kimberly McAndrew's case. So she disappeared, and this might be a future episode.
Yes, I think so too.
Yeah. So she disappeared from here in Halifax in 1989. She was working at the Canadian Tire on Quinpool Road.
Yes.
And she got off work early, I believe, and she left out the back, like behind the Canadian Tire on Quinpool Road is the parking lot.
Yep.
The parking lot's in the back. So she went out and she disappeared.
Just vanished.
Yeah.
And nobody, that's still ongoing.
It still haunts people. There's been, it's a devastating story because
Absolutely.
there was never a body found. So she's still considered missing. But yeah, so Andrew Paul Johnson linked to the disappearance of Kimberly McAndrew. And the reason I talk about the Canadian Tire on Quinpool is because his girlfriend at the time, I believe it was his girlfriend, lived in, there's apartments right behind the Canadian Tire parking lot, right behind Quinpool Road. There are apartments there. And apparently that's where she lived.
Okay.
So he was in that area.
Yeah.
And they have repeatedly identified him as a suspect or person of interest. And even back, I remember this well, of course, because I've always followed this case. But in 2013, they searched a property in Shad Bay, Nova Scotia, so just outside of Halifax, like Prospect area.
Yeah, I remember that.
In connection to Johnson's family, during an investigation into an unsolved crime, they stated that the investigators were believed to be looking for evidence related to Kimberly McAndrew's disappearance, but no charges resulted from that.
I remember
search.
that.
Me too.
It was they ripped up their whole yard.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's interesting, obviously, because of the area,
Yeah.
the timeline, and that's been something that has come up for a lot of people over the years.
For a lot of people, yeah.
Yeah, for Andrew Paul Johnson, because he was, a pretty awful man.
Yeah.
But yeah, they've associated with him and tried to link him and see if there was anything that they could link him to with other missing persons or murders in the area. So he's definitely come up
I'm
a
no
lot.
police officer. I don't think it was him.
Yeah, I know a lot of people do.
I know.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes people hear about these, these killers and they just assume, oh, well, he must have done it to this person and that person. But for something, I keep going back to Joe.
I just go back to who would she have left for?
Yeah.
Because to our knowledge, we don't think she knew anybody named Andrew Paul Johnson.
No.
I mean, was he a scary scary motherfucker that was in the area at that time. Absolutely.
Yeah.
No doubt. And there's, for good reason, he's always been thought to be connected to Kimberly McAndrew and looked at for some other ones. But yeah, again, I'm like, would she have left her apartment for
him?
As far as I know, she didn't know him in any way.
No.
So
not at all.
Other than the fact that he was lurking in the area, which is terrifying enough.
Yeah.
100% looking at a teen girl going missing and murdered. Other than that, I don't really see any other links there.
Not at all.
No. And the third notorious guy we're going to talk about, and this one I found researching this over the last couple months here when I've been working away, because I didn't know this.
I didn't know it either.
No.
Until you told me about it. And then, of course, I went down the dark hole and started.
Yes.
Yeah.
I did too. And I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Because, we're gonna talk about Russell Williams. So Russell Williams was a former colonel in the Royal Canadian Air Force who became one of Canada's most notorious serial offenders. He was once considered a highly respected military leader and a pilot before his arrest in 2010. And that exposed years of violent crimes, sexual assaults, and murders in Ontario.
Yeah.
So how does this relate to Halifax?
Yeah.
So there was a City News article in 2010 where police in Halifax were looking into whether 3 unsolved murders may be connected to Russell Williams, the former base commander at CFB Trenton, who was charged with murder and sexual assault in Ontario. So that's what the article read. So the most interesting part of Russell Williams was that he was actually based in CFB Shearwater in Nova Scotia in the early 90s. And I know you were talking about Shearwater.
Yeah, which is really not that far from us. It's basically Halifax and Dartmouth. Shearwater's over in Dartmouth. We have 2 bridges that connect us over the ocean. So it's really not that far once you get over the bridge. So it's fairly close. Maybe a 20-minute drive.
Yeah, probably about that. Geographically, it's close, but the fact that you have to go around and take the bridge and then drive over.
Now, if he had a boat, he'd be over in like 10 seconds, but
Yeah, exactly. But he was here in the early 90s, which I didn't know that. I never knew that, but they ended up after his conviction in 2010, they had to kind of dig into him a little bit because, and they did, they looked at some unsolved cases here at the time.
Yeah.
And Chief Beasley at the time for Halifax Police said those cases would still be part of the cold case unit. And obviously we would take a second look knowing what they know about him.
Yeah.
So far nothing yet. The Halifax Police were in touch with the Ontario Police at that time, but so far nothing yet to indicate any connection to Russell Williams to anything here in Halifax. So those are the 3 kind of big ones in terms of looking at serial criminals or serial killers for Shelley's case. But yeah, those are the names that come up. So I wanted to talk about them because I think it's relevant, and a lot of people do feel very strongly about some of them.
They do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And next, I just want to chat about some, kind of updates along the way, I guess, or new evidence, things like that have come. So when I was doing my research, there was an article I found in the Halifax Examiner that said, and it was kind of vague. And again, this is one of the things that left me with so many questions.
So many questions.
Yeah, it was a 2003 article, and it said, fresh evidence was found reigniting the investigation. But that was it.
Yeah.
And then I saw that and that little piece there in the article. And there wasn't anything else new in that. So that was just, I guess, it
was a quick little blur.
Yeah. And then again, this is 2003, so 10 years. So the 10-year anniversary. And in that, that in particular, nobody really knew what that was about when I talked to friends and family.
Yeah.
So, but Angela did say, so Shelley's sister Angela did say that over the years, there's been a few times where things have been seemingly like there could be some movement. The hope gets up.
Yeah.
And at one point, and I think this was a couple years ago, I don't know exactly when, and again, I think a lot of this is kind of a blur for the family too.
Oh my
it's
gosh,
all so the ups and downs and the roller coaster of it all. But they did actually, the police did reach out to Angela for some of Shelley's personal items for some DNA testing.
Right.
And they wanted shoes. Right. Yeah.
Interesting.
So that, I think, ended up being inconclusive.
Yes.
At the end of all of that, it was inconclusive. And again, if there is more DNA out there, and there's ways to test it that can be done with the newer technology, police haven't really said that.
Right.
And that might not be something that they, say publicly, but anyway, that's something I hope. Like
I hope they do.
I want to believe that maybe there is that there, in terms of like physical evidence, that and people talking and coming forward.
Right.
Yeah. And I did want to bring this one up too. So again, meeting with Angela, she did share with me that she received a message a year ago, just like a Facebook type message.
Okay.
And she passed this on to the police because she thought it could be interesting. She thought it was something that they definitely needed to know. So the person messaging her, they had reasons to believe that one of the people we talked about here.
Okay,
I'm not going to say who because I just want to. This is newer and we don't know the results of this yet.
Yeah.
So one of the people that we did discuss above, the person that messaged Angela said that they think this person could have killed Shelley.
Okay.
And had some reasons why, had some details, knew the person pretty well. But and I don't want to leave it I don't want to leave a little cliffhanger here, but again, that was reported to the police a year ago, still waiting to hear back on that lead.
Yeah.
Maybe it didn't materialize, but at the end of the day, she did take that forward. The person that messaged her knew that it was being taken forward. What happened from there, we don't really know yet. She said she'd get back to me if she found out anything that I could follow that up with. But
perfect.
That's where it stands right now. That's where I'll leave it. I know it's a little vague, but again, it's something that we don't want to lead into anybody or mention names or anything.
No, oh my gosh, no.
But we'll leave that there. And, at the end of the day, even if it didn't materialize, for me, I'm like, it's a good thing people are still thinking.
Talking about it.
And talking about it. So that the fact that somebody reached out to her and said, like just last year, 2025, said, hey.
I wonder what made them wait so long.
I don't know.
Those are always questions I want to know. Like, why wait until like so many years later? It would have been like, 32 years later, pretty much. Like, hey, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's, I think things change with time.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's something that we'll talk about because there's a really great quote here I want to talk about too. And that really leads into that, which is just like the fear and things in the early years or for however many years after.
Yep.
That can fade.
Yeah, absolutely. People feel guilty.
There's that guilt conscious and maybe the person that you were so afraid of betraying, maybe they're not so scary anymore. Like, let's be honest, this was 33 years ago. These people are getting older.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't have that fear. Maybe
they're no longer here. Maybe they're like they've moved. Maybe they've passed on. You never know, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So there's lots of reasons why I think that can change.
Yeah, exactly.
But so that was kind of what I want to talk about next, actually. So when talking about evidence, in the case, it wasn't just the weather that hampered the investigation. Police were also very challenged with the fact that people in Spryfield were not talking. But Ryan's article that I've referenced a few times in this, when he spoke with retired detective Tom Martin cited a really well-known saying in the Spryfield area that is, fear is what makes sure the taps don't leak.
Yeah.
Which is just...
Yeah.
It says, it speaks volumes. It just, it wraps it up perfectly because it is that fear.
Yep.
But my hope is, that there are people out there, trust could be broken, maybe just wanting to do the right thing. And I can't say this enough. Even any small amount of information that was brought forward, big or small information, I think needs to come forward.
Absolutely.
You never know, right? You never know.
It's never too late.
No.
It's never too late. I mean, can you imagine that being one of your loved ones that was murdered, and it was so tragic, and you never find out the killer? Shelley's dad has passed on.
Yeah.
He went to his grave not knowing who killed his daughter.
I know.
I can't even imagine how awful that is for the family.
And you know, something that will give me goosebumps again here talking about it. So Shelley's father passed away on May the 29th in 2024.
Wow.
But May the 29th, the same day that she disappeared and was likely taken from him.
Yeah.
He passed away on that same day.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And I had to reread that a couple of times.
Yeah.
I thought,
I literally just got chills.
I know.
About that.
I like, what are the odds? But, you know,
Yeah.
I feel like there has to be some kind of, I don't know, maybe connection there.
Connection.
But regardless,
They're reunited.
I know.
Yeah.
And that's what the family's taken so much peace in, is knowing that now they are together.
Her dad with
Yeah.
her. Yeah.
Yeah. And just, but not ever knowing.
No.
And that's kind of where Martha is, Shelley's mom, you know, when talking with Angela, like, you know, she's not getting younger. And
yeah.
I mean, her hope obviously has always been to get justice, to
Absolutely.
catch somebody, the person responsible or persons responsible for this before she dies, to have answers of what happened to her baby girl. And I just can't imagine.
No, I can't either.
No, it's quite literally your worst nightmare. So a couple things about Shelley. There's a couple other little tidbits that I wanted to chat about her. So again, as we talked about, she lived very close to jail, Illsley High School. She did go there, but she dropped out in grade 11. And this was another kind of rabbit hole that I had to go down. Yeah. Because anytime you see somebody dropped out of school, I'm like, what was happening at school? Yeah. Why would she leave? So I had a lot of questions about that. And I did get some answers from talking to people as well. And apparently there were some girls just giving her a hard time, kind of like the mean girls. Oh, yeah. Not like, you know, unclear reasons. Like they didn't really seem to know why. They were just the type of kids. I mean, kids can be dicks, right?
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
And you know, they were just the kind of girls. And apparently when they were in their junior high school, these same girls were mean too. And I think she got to high school, the same kind of stuff was happening. Yeah. And she just was like, I'm just kind of done. I'm done. And I don't blame her.
No. Like, and she has the option. There's other high schools that she can get to.
Yeah, exactly. So she did drop out of JL in grade 11. But then again, I know we talked a little bit about this, about the work orientation program. So that was a program sent to students who had dropped out. Yeah. I think was tied in with St. Pat's High School where she had planned to go. Yeah. So she was in that program, planned to go back to school because she had dreams. She wanted to work with kids. She wanted to be either, you know, a childcare worker, a teacher. She wanted to be with work with kids. Yes. And so she was like, yeah, you know, I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to do this program. She had big dreams. Oh, yeah. And she wanted to do big things for herself. And the teachers even at her school said there was no known problems with her. I mean, obviously they didn't maybe know about the girls, you know, being mean, but
the bullies.
There's nothing that really came on the radar, I guess, for teachers, because sometimes they're unaware of those things happening.
Yes. Especially back then.
Oh, totally.
Nobody talked about it.
No, but she didn't have anything that was like a flag, like no known enemies to them. She was described as being lovely, didn't seem to be having problems, and she was planning a career in childcare. Yeah. Shelley's family, her mother, Martha, sister, Angela, and her brother, Corey, still live here in Halifax. I really think Shelley's case can be solved. The quote from retired detective Tom Martin, "Fear is what makes sure the taps don't leak." That may have been true in 1993, but here we are in 2026, 33 years later, and I think that fear has faded. I hope that after all this time, someone speaks up and finally does the right thing by reporting any information to help close this case. Shelley deserves justice. Her family and friends deserve closure. And why do you think it's important to keep her story alive, to talk about her here today, going forward?
Because she mattered.
Yeah.
She mattered. She was a person just like everybody else.
Yeah.
And her life was taken from her. She didn't choose this. She didn't choose it. Somebody took her. Somebody decided that it was time, and it wasn't.
Please share this podcast, talk about Shelley, and help the dust from settling on this case again. We are shining a bright light in a dark corner here, and I want to keep that light on her case. I want this to be solved. Shelley deserves this.
If you know any information on the murder of Shelley Connors, please contact the Rewards for Major Unsolved Crimes program, 1-888-710-9090. The Nova Scotia government is offering a reward up to $150,000 for any information that leads to an arrest and conviction of the person or persons responsible for the murder of Shelley Connors. You can also contact Halifax Regional Police at 902-490-5016. Lastly, you can contact Crime Stoppers toll-free at 1-800-222-TIPS. You can also visit the Crime Stoppers website and submit a secure web tip. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed this podcast and stay tuned for our next one.